Network podcast here. A couple quick updates before we get started with Saeed, who's our guest here in Miami. We have split up the channel, so there's going to be separate channels for business, lifestyle, relaunching the early stage Discord, early stage companies, the later stage companies in Slack. Now that we have more time and resources to do that, bigger team, more attention. Today we got Saeed on the podcast. He's a e-com expert, kind of similar to Fedotov, who we had on the podcast a while ago. CONZIA. I want to talk about your background, how you got into business, display place, building it up, Miami, and then also for the e-com folks in the crowd, how do they actually get started on a store? How do they scale it? What's bullshit? What's real? How did you get started in business?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for Chris for the invitation, and thanks for having me on this podcast.
Of course.
So I got started in 2019 when I was fed up from my corporate job. So I needed like an income so that I could leave my full-time job. So I jumped into Shopify. So it was really hot back then. So it is still hot. A lot of people, like making millions from Shopify. So I started.
It was more hot back then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So there was less competition. So now, like everyone knows it, like there are just in USA, there are 50,000 stores getting launched every month. So it was not that big. Back then, there were few sellers, but the competition was also less. So the opportunity was huge. So I got started with a few products on Shopify, and then I branched into Amazon FBA as well. So that was start of my business. So I did both drop shipping plus Amazon FBA. So Amazon FBA means setting up my own brands, and drop shipping is basically a traditional classical drop shipping model, importing products that were already available on drop shipping basis into Shopify store, and then setting up marketing channels on Facebook and Instagram, and then basically scaling up from there. So I learned, like how to test products quickly, how to find suppliers quickly, and then scale up organically. And I scaled up my stores into 7-figure success very quickly. And then I jumped into an agency model as well, which is also something that we will talk about that in this podcast.
Cool. So walk me through like your process for setting up a store. Do you do research? Do you look at kind of niches? Like what's kind of the overall strategy that you have?
So my favorite is that I go for a niche that solves a solved problem. So I pick up a niche and then I build a brand around that niche. So my strategy is that launch products that are evergreen, they sell throughout the year. So they don't have any seasonality element. For example, I stay away from products that are having seasonal demand, that sell only on Christmas or New Year or Halloween, because these are the kind of products which are very tricky. If you go in seasonal products, after you are successful, you have spent money on marketing, and once the season is over, then there are no sales come again. So, and same is the case for winter and summer products. So I highly suggest people go after niches, go after products that sell the whole year. So this is kind of, like my favorite. And then I pick up products that are under $100, because this is a kind of a sweet spot. You can set up a brand very quickly. You can convince people to place an order with even a new store. And another criteria that I have for finding my products, that I go after products that solve small problems. So products that are not easily available in retail stores, products that are, having some kind of uniqueness in them. So these are, like a few criteria that I look for when I launch my stores, or I find products from my customers.
A lot of people ask me, to do a successful store, how much money do you need to invest for inventory and logistics, all that? What would you say to that?
That's a very good question. So if you are going via drop shipping, so you don't need to invest big money. If you are doing it yourself, you can set up a store, you can run your ads on your own, for example, on Facebook and Instagram. You don't need to have big budgets. If you are going FBA route, so then you need to invest some money into stock. So I would say if you are launching a store on Shopify, if you are doing everything on your own, probably $1,000 to $2,000 for the first month should be enough. And if you are working with an agency, then probably another $2,000 to $3,000 for the first month. But if you are going FBA, that is expensive, because for
Yeah.
FBA, you need to have your product in stock for at least 3 to 4 months, because the product will be coming from the US and it takes a lot of time to produce this product under your brand name, import it into the US. So we typically suggest that have inventory for at least 3 to 4 months. So in order to launch one product in the United States on FBA business model, you should have somewhere between $15,000 to $20,000 in budgets.
Okay, interesting. So you were talking before about how you kind of came from like a career, you wanted to go full time, self employed. Did you save up the money to start your first kind of ecom store slash venture, or did you raise money or borrow money, or how did you kind of get the capital to?
Yeah, a very interesting question. So for me, it was pretty straightforward. So I was having a good job back then. So I saved up for a couple of months. So I resigned from my full-time job without having any kind of income. So for me, the main challenge was how to pay my expenses without making any money online. So I saved up for six to 8 months. So that was kind of like my backup. On top of that, I had money saved up that I used to launch my stores. I bought inventory for Amazon FBA. Then I had money saved for running ads as well. So for the first 6 to 8 months, I was basically reinvesting all of my sales proceeds into my ad campaigns. So it gave me like enough time and enough room to scale up quickly, because I had some money saved up for my monthly expenses back then.
Okay, interesting. Did you fail right away, or when was your first kind of like big failure, and how did you deal with it?
Um, I failed on a couple of products. So I launched some products that were not successful. So I remember when I got started, I went into clothing niche. So that was very competitive. And after a couple of months, I realized like this is not something that I can sustain over a longer period of time, because there is a huge competition from big brands. Then I picked up niches where products were less competitive and they were cheaper. So my strategy was go into niches that are less competitive, produce everything in China, import everything in a warehouse in the US market and also in Europe, and basically like make 20 to 30% margins and scale up organically. So I did not raise any money back then, so I didn't have like this kind of luxury that I could raise some investment. So everything that I invested, that was my own money, and I think that was the best thing that happened to me, because I was under a lot of pressure to find creative ways how to make it successful, and that actually paid off. So I grew everything organically.
Got it. Okay. How did you sort of learn? Did you do any courses or study from other people, have a mentor, etc.?
Yeah, so it was end of 2018 when I started. So there were not many coaches available back then. So because a lot of coaches, they came in, like waves in the last 3 4 years. So my favorite was I was learning everything from YouTube. So there were a lot of resources available from Shopify and from Amazon as well. And basically like going through my own iterations, testing out what is working, what is not working. So that was kind of my style. So I did not really have a mentor, but I highly suggest, if you can work with someone who has done it for himself, went through all the stages of like testing out products, burning money, you can save a lot of money. You can scale up quickly. So I think if I had to do it again, I would definitely work with a mentor, and then so that I can save my time and my money as well. You need to experiment a lot of things. It's very often, if you don't know how to run good ads, how to select good products, you end up wasting a lot of money. And this was also in my case. I burnt some money on some products that were not successful in the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So now kind of break down like your current business model and how it's sort of different than, like just running one store.
Yeah, so the current business model that I am having, I have multiple stores, I have multiple brands. So that is, like one side which is fairly stable. I spend most of my time in running my agency, that is, like a full scale agency, which is CONZIA. So we operate in the US and the UK markets primarily. We also support European customers. We have offices in 3 countries: US, UK, and Pakistan. We have more than 30 people in team, and we serve a customer base of 1,000 plus sellers on Shopify, Amazon, and other platforms. So I am, most of my time is dedicated towards running my agency. So the e-com thing is kind of stable. So it is being taken care of by team. So I run this agency, and I actually coach people as well, how they can get started on Shopify, how they can leave their job, how they can transition from their corporate job into, into their own business, how to set up a brand quickly, how to test out products, people who are getting into agency model as well. So this is where I spend most of my time.
Nice. What kinds of people do you work with? Like, what stage are they, and like, what are their priorities?
Yeah, so 70% of our customers, they are people who are having full-time jobs. They are either making some money online, or they are just starting out. So they are, like early stage entrepreneurs, I would say. They are having already a Shopify store that is, in most of the cases, that is making 5,000, 10,000 every month in sales, and we basically help them to grow towards, like 100,000, 200,000 in sales. So
how long does that take, that process, usually?
It varies, like brand to brand basis. We have seen some brands, like picking up really quick, so 3 to 6 months. In some cases, we also see that it can take a little longer. If you are in a niche which is very competitive, for example, I mentioned one niche that I was working in, which was a clothing niche. So there was a huge competition. So if the niche is very competitive, if people don't have, a huge pile of cash to invest into ads, so that can take a little longer. But if the niche is good, if the products are solving small problems, if the person is consistent, he investing time and also some money into ads, it can take 3 to 4 months, and you can grow your brand towards, like 100,000, 150,000 per month in sales, approximately 30 to 40% margins, which can give you enough, like freedom to leave your full-time job and transition into a full-time online seller.
Got it. Do you ever take on somebody and then it just really doesn't work out or fails?
That is often, so that can happen. So drop shipping, it is often specifically in the case of drop shipping, because drop shipping products, they get copied fairly very quickly. So you have to stay on top of your products, and in the long term, you have to transition from drop shipping towards FBA model or private label model. Because if you are importing everything from drop shipping brands, it is something which is not sustainable in the long term. You have to have your own branding, you have to have your own products in the warehouse. So this is a kind of, like a tricky stage where a lot of entrepreneurs fail when they are into online business. So they think they are making 100,000, 200, 300,000 per month in sales. The margins are good, like they are making 40,000-50,000 per month in sales, in profit, which is fairly a good amount of money. So instead of for someone who was earning, like 5,000 or 10,000 per month in salary, so 40,000-50,000 is a good profit per month. And the typical mistake that they do, they don't transition from drop shipping business model towards private label. So private label is something which is, like really long term, which is something I would call it, like the backbone of e-commerce. So you have your own products, you have your own warehouse, so everything is under your control. You control your quality, you control your delivery time. So I see a lot of people failing at this stage, that they don't transition from drop shipping to private label business model. And there are some other use cases as well. There are some products that really don't pick up. The marketing is not good, or people just give up after 2-3 months or 4 months. When they see that the first product was not successful, then they don't have real motivation. Another thing, what I see quite often is a mindset. So Shopify drop shipping or Amazon, it's just like any other business. So you have to work really, really hard to make it successful. So people jump in this market, into this business. They think like they will buy, like a fancy car in the first month, which is
Right.
which is rare. So then you have to go through the hustle,
Never happens. Yeah.
yeah. So I think this is also sometimes just the expectations. Sometimes they see, like a fancy video on YouTube or Instagram, and then they think that it is gonna just work out in the first month, and it can take, like a little longer. But people who are having real motivation that they want to make it work, I see they are successful in the long term.
Nice. What other qualities do you see in entrepreneurs that make them successful in the long term?
Yeah, I think like the qualities, they are same across all businesses. So people who are persistent, so I would say that really makes a big difference. So people who are working really, really hard, they want, because it's difficult if you are having a full-time job, then you have to work on your online store as well. So it kind of, like make your life harder in the start, but this actually pays off. So consistency is very important. Hard work is very important. And I think network is also very important, because if you have people around you who are also doing the same things, for example, going through the same phase, launching also stores, and you can see like their examples as well, that they struggle in the start for a couple of months, but after that they are successful. I think this can give you a real motivation. So for example, we have a network of people. We run a community on Facebook as well. We have Instagram channel, then we have YouTube, and then we have our own Slack channel as well. So we have people who are constantly working on their stores. They share learnings as well. So it keeps people motivated who are in our network, and I think this is really, really important.
Got it. What are your goals and objectives for your current company?
So our goals and objectives for this year is to grow our agency in the US, because we want to focus more in the US market. So we are still quite considerably, a big source of a chunk of our revenue comes from the US market, but we want to grow it towards more big customers as well. For example, companies who are selling on Shopify Plus, they are having a revenue of 1 million to 4 million per month on Shopify Plus. So we want to work with these companies as well. So hire more people, basically, and grow the business in the US market.
Nice. I don't know if you saw that question that just came on the chat.
Yeah,
How do you see the future of e-commerce evolving, and where does drop shipping fit in that?
I see like the future of drop shipping is very bright. It is competitive. I see like there are more people jumping in drop shipping every year. It is getting competitive, but I see like this is a great business model, because it gives you enough freedom that you can test out a lot of products without investing big money into stock. So I am actually very hopeful that the future is bright for dropshipping. Of course, you need to transition from dropshipping to FBA if you want to be successful in the long term. But dropshipping is a good business model because you can test out a lot of products without big investment.
Nice. Another question here. What are the biggest mistakes beginners make in dropshipping?
Yeah, so something that I have seen very often when I talk to people, they start, like 3, 4 different stores. I think this makes life very hard because every store you start, you need a lot of money in terms of ads. You need to invest a lot of time. So I suggest start with just one drop shipping store, test out one niche one time, launch like 10 to 20 different products, and then go after the second store. So don't go after like 3, 4 stores at the same time.
Cool. So next question would be, how do you keep customers? Apologies, guys, I'm sick, so my voice is like giving out. How do you keep customers coming back to the online store?
Yeah, that is all basically engagement. So you have to do email marketing, which should be on top of your list. Then you have to re-engage your customers on Facebook and Instagram. This is also something that you can do by installing Pixel. You can retarget these customers. You can re-engage with your existing customers. For example, send them coupon codes, send them discount codes. So these are like the re-engagement strategies that you try to bring back these customers to your store and then basically convince them to order again and again.
Cool. Last question from the crowd here. Is dropshipping is a very popular business model. It's kind of what most people, it used to be kind of like a get rich quick scheme, but do you think, I don't know, do you think it's still profitable now?
I don't think so that it is a get rich quick scheme. It has never been like this. It is like it is the way people way. Yeah, it was sold that way. So it was the way people were advertising drop shipping. I see drop shipping is profitable. It's a good business model. Like any other business, it's not for everyone. So it's just like it is just another business that you are setting up. You have to go through hustle. You have to test out a lot of different products. You have to work hard to find your niche, to make it successful, so that you actually earn something from drop shipping. So it is not a quick rich scheme. I call it like a genuine business model that can help you transition into like into a business role from your full-time job, but it will definitely take time.
Got it. Last question. You've been in business a while now. What is the one lesson that you've learned that you wouldn't have expected going into things?
Yeah, so I think if you want to stay one person business, I think so I have transitioned from one person business to a person who is managing now teams across different continents, different time zones. I think if you want to be in a position where I am now, for example, working in a team with different people, I think you have to stay flexible. I think this is something which is the number one thing what I have learned. So you have to be adaptable. You because you will be working across different cultures, different time zone with different people. So you really need to stay flexible. You need to adapt quickly. You need to learn quickly. Specifically, you need to learn the nature of your team members, because you will need to get a lot of things done very quickly, specifically in our case because we are connected remotely in different time zones. So I think my best is flexibility. So, and that really helps me, like close to my team, and then I can get a lot of things done very quickly.
Nice. Cool. Where can people find you? Who should reach out to work with you?
Yeah, so anyone like who is thinking of starting a business on Shopify. So, for example, if you want to transition from a full-time job to an online business, reach out to me. So, our website is CONZIA.com, CONZIA. I will also drop the link in the chat here.
Great.
Yeah, so this is our website. I am very active on LinkedIn as well, so you can add me on LinkedIn. You can send me a message anytime. If you have any questions, I will drop my LinkedIn profile here as well.
Perfect. We'll put it in the show notes too. So
Yeah,
good stuff. All right, Zahid, thanks so much for coming on, guys. We'll drop the links to the chat if you want to reach out. And see, it's also on Slack, and we can show you.
thanks, Chris, for your time. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.